Wherever you are, welcome to another of my takes on China. But not being an insider, it's really hard to decide if Trump in Washington is showing incredible ignorance or is being guided by people showing incredible ignorance and deliberately being misinformed to make him look foolish, or really is as foolish as he seems. Whatever it is, he's definitely looking foolish. He put out a letter the other day, the same carbon copy letter to several countries, telling them what a privilege it is for them to do business with the USA, and that it is such a great honor for them that he's going to charge his own citizens tariffs to do business with them. The letters that I saw were laced with grammatical errors, factual inaccuracies, and childishly put points. In all honesty, a 12-year-old could have done better. Was that willful? Was that deliberate? Is Trump actually writing his own letters and looking childish? Or does he have a group of writers who write for him and attempt to emulate the childish style that he portrays? If the intention is to make him look foolish, it's working very well. Then he hosted an important meeting, a very important meeting, with the leaders of several African countries, Liberia, Gabon, Senegal, Mauritania, and Guinea-Bissau, in which he not only hustled them to move up and skip their important points that they wanted to make, presumably because they weren't praising his leadership, which whenever Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Pam Bondi, or any of his other sycophants in his administration do, and he sits back and enjoys them. He actually complimented the president of Liberia for being so proficient in his own language. Again, I ask, was that deliberate or was that bad advice that he was getting? Surely, when the President of the United States enters a meeting with the President of any other country that he's been briefed about that other country, what language did he expect from the President of a country that was actually formed from a colony from United States? Liberia, coming from the same root as the word liberty, was a colony formed by reformists who were repatriating freed slaves before the US Civil War. The country of Liberia, as it exists today, is literally the creation of his own country, the United States of America. How could he go to a meeting with the president of that country and not know this? Does he even care? Cultural diversity is not a strong point in the USA, but inside the White House, it's completely absent. The USA's disdain for what they consider to be lesser countries, which unfortunately is every country in the world other than perhaps Israel, is very much on show. They claim they are better for Africa than China will be. What a claim to make after 400 years of colonization, enslavement, impoverishment, and subjugation, and how important it is to realize that each of these countries under Trump's current tariff policy is subject to taxes just for the privilege of doing business in his country. Each of these countries is also subject to zero tariff policies that China recently enacted on 53 of the 54 African countries. So to me, it's no surprise that things are moving at different paces, because at the same time, the Global Civilization Dialogue Ministerial Meeting kicked off in Beijing with a focus on the importance of cultural diversity, mutual learning, advancing human progress. Note those words well, cultural diversity. China wants every country to maintain and develop their own cultural diversity. Mutual learning. China knows it can learn from others and is open and willing to do so. It also knows that it has shrugged off colonization, poverty, and Western-led oppression. So it has things to teach and share with others going through this same thing now. Advancing human progress. What does that mean? It means lifting everyone in the world up to at least a minimum standard of living with health, education, and accommodation, housing as a right, not as privileges. It means moderate prosperity, equality, safety, and security, completely the opposite of what much of Africa, Latin America, and Asia have experienced for the past few hundred years. Now, the really big point to bear in mind is that China does this not for its own gratification, not for its own improvement, but as it says on a huge billboard in the entry hall of the meeting in Beijing, it does this for world peace. And right now, there can't be a more noble meaning than that, seeking world peace. While the US and Israel want to clear out Gaza, the same players want to destroy Iran. The US and NATO want to weaken Russia militarily and have opened hundreds of bases to surround China. China asks for nothing more than world peace and invites world leaders to participate in this. In his opening speech, Liu Jianchao, head of the International Department of the CPC Central Committee, emphasized the need for more dialogue, less warfare. Attendees from all regions came for this. Speakers from Indonesia, Namibia, Japan, Belgium all called for stronger efforts to bridge cultural divides and foster understanding amid current geopolitical tensions, while speakers from as diverse places as Kenya and Denmark shared stories illustrating how China's global initiative is benefiting communities that they know of. Overall, in stark contrast to the small meetings happening in Washington, 600 attendees from 140 countries and regions attended this one. Former UNESCO Director General Ina Bukova praised China's role in proposing the Global Civilization Initiative. It isn't an initiative, she said. It's a vision for a peaceful, harmonious world rooted in empathy and solidarity. She also said, and I personally think that every lawmaker, politician, and think tanker should listen very carefully to these words, so I'll quote them. We are all connected by time, by culture, by heritage. When we understand our own culture, we become more tolerant of others. That is perhaps the most beautiful and essential idea we can share. End of quote. And indeed it is. The future of a peaceful world lies in respect for each other, not condescension. Openness, not restrictions. Mutual benefit, not capital gains. Dialogue, not warfare. I'll say that again. Dialogue, not warfare. This is why the world is coming to China and why the world is inevitably and inexorably moving away from the USA, from their dollar-controlled hegemony, and from their military-controlled power. The world needs more dialogue, more understanding, and a lot less war. The world, in fact, needs more countries to be like China. And since I started writing this script, the Liberian president has given an interview in which he accused Trump, the president of the United States, of arrogance, racism, and superiority. I can't say that I blame him, and it's a fair indication that Africa is not being won over to work with America. At least it will not be while there is no understanding in that country of cultural diversity. China hasn't won this one. The US has most definitely lost this one. That's all from me for now. Thank you very much for watching my take on China. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you next time. Bye for now.